What's up, everybody? Brian Elwood here, and welcome back to the podcast. So, in this episode, I want to talk to you guys about an issue that I've been covering with my one-on-one coaching students very heavily lately, and it's something that I've been repeating over and over and heavily teaching to students whose businesses I'm really diving into in order to, in some cases, save their business from running out of money and going out of business. And to take a step back, in this real estate investing world, marketing is something that's very interesting to all of us, right? We want to know which direct mail lists work the best and which piece works the best. And, if pay-per-click works in our market, should we try to get deals on the MLS or Craigslist or from wholesalers? Should we run ads on TV or the radio or whatever, right? And the answer to that question of what you should do, the only place you have to look is in the numbers that result from actually trying it out. So to take a step back further, one thing that most real estate investors don't understand is that there's a fundamental business law that every business, real estate investing included, must live and die by if you're going to be successful. And that law basically states that you have to be able to acquire customers at a cost that makes sense based upon how much money you can make off the customer. So in the business world, they'll call that customer acquisition cost divided by lifetime value of the customer. You've probably heard the sharks on Shark Tank ask the entrepreneurs what those numbers are in their business. And sometimes when the entrepreneurs tell them the answer, they just kind of throw their hands up and say, there's no way this business is going to work. You can't scale with those numbers. And I've seen the exact same thing happen in a lot of real estate businesses. I will dive in with a coaching student and find out that it's costing the student, let's say, $7,000 to get a deal in his market, and the deals are only selling for $10,000, which only leaves $3,000 left over when it's all said and done. So that's a really bad ratio of customer acquisition costs to lifetime value of the customer. And in other industries, the lifetime value of customers is different, but usually in real estate, it's just that one deal. A lot of people aren't going to sell you multiple houses. It does happen, but it's the exception, not the rule. And so you guys have to understand that if you have those kinds of numbers in your marketing, where it's costing you $5 or $6 or $7,000 to get a deal, and you're only able to make, let's say, 10, 11, 12 on that deal, then you're not going to be able to scale. The marketing that you're currently doing is not going to allow you to move past being a one-man show. And if you're already a bigger business that has multiple people and overhead and payroll, then this is the real reason why your profit and loss statements are starting to show negative numbers each month, or you're breaking even and you're getting really frustrated with your results. You have to start tracking your marketing dollars. Dan Kennedy has a saying that you must hold your marketing dollars accountable. I might repeat that quote on this episode because it's so important. Every dollar that goes out, you don't just cross your fingers and hope it works. You don't just wait for that big deal to come in and then pat yourself on the back and say, yeah, this was a good idea, man. You have to track it. And if it's, let's say, direct mail, you track it by the list. You don't just track direct mail as a whole. And then you would track something like pay-per-click separately or a TV ad separately. And what you're ultimately tracking is how much money am I spending versus how much money am I making, right? Another way you can just look at it is how much is it costing me to get one deal on this channel? And then how much money did I make from those deals that came from that marketing channel? All right. And you have to have someone in your business just go find those numbers and put them on a spreadsheet. Everyone always asks me, can I automate this in Podio? Yes, there's ways to do it, but you can also pay someone $10 an hour to do this for you, and it'll take them 1 or 2 hours every week to do. So that's 10 or 20 bucks to have your vital signs in your company clearly displayed for you, updated every single week. And here's kind of what you're looking for, guys. So if you, let's say it's costing you $3,000 to get a deal, a closed deal, right? The deal has to actually close. So that's your customer acquisition cost. And then you can sell the deal for $9,000. So that's your lifetime value of the customer. So that is a 1 to 3 ratio, right? $3,000 to get the deal. I made $9,000 off the deal. 1 to 3 is the minimum that you're looking for. 1 to 4 is much better. If you can get it for 3 and you can, sell it for 12, then you're doing great. You can afford to spend more money on marketing. You can afford to bring on employees to replace you in certain areas of your company, and you can scale. If it's a 1 to 2 ratio, meaning you spend $3,000 to get a deal and you can only make 6 from the deal, then you will not be able to scale. Until you fix that ratio, nothing else matters in your business. You don't need to worry about which person to hire to replace yourself. You don't need to go read the E-Myth and all that crap. Marketing is the lifeblood, and you have to do it right if you want to have a successful business. So step 1 is figuring out these numbers, figure out what your ratio is. If it's 1 to 1, like some people, I've actually coached students where certain marketing channels, they look back after I made them crunch their numbers, and they found out they spent, $50K throughout the year on one marketing channel, and they made $50K from that marketing channel. But they didn't realize that because they weren't tracking it. So that was basically a big waste of time, because they broke even and it cost them all that time and analyzing leads and going on appointments and completing rehabs and everything just to get back the $50K that they put into it, right? And then another interesting thing is that if you find out that your ratio is above 1 to 4, like let's say it's 1 to 5, so if it costs you $4,000 to get a deal, but you can make 20 on the deal, then you're actually underspending on your marketing, and you can afford to spend more until you get it to that 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 ratio. So write this stuff down, guys. It's really important to understand your customer acquisition cost divided by a lifetime value of the customer ratio. When marketing is done right, you're essentially putting $2 in a machine and the machine's spitting $8 out the bottom. And you don't stop tweaking your marketing until you figure that out. So if someone was going to go into a new market and they would ask me, Brian, what type of marketing should I do in this market to get the deals I want to get? And my answer to that would be whatever marketing, is cost effective, whatever marketing is going to fall within those ratios. So if the marketing was a big pond and you're trying to decide where to dive in, you would actually walk around the pond and kind of dip your toes in a bunch of different places and test the water out. And once you found a spot where the water was warm, right? Like the numbers made sense, then you would essentially dive in, which would mean put more money behind it. I'll give you an example from my education business that might help this make sense. In the digital world, Facebook ads are the king of advertising right now. And what I do is if I'm running a new ad to advertise, my coaching business in some way or a book or whatever it is I'm selling, I'll only put $5 or $7 per day behind that ad and then let it run for a week or two. And I'll check my cost per click and cost per lead ratio. And I'm looking for about 30 cents cost per click and $1 cost per lead on those ads. That's the kind of ROI I'm looking for. And if I don't get that, I don't increase the budget. I don't go above $5 or $7 a day if the numbers aren't there. I tweak the ad and keep lightly testing it until it starts to convert at or above the criteria I've set for it. And then that's when you step on the gas. And while you step on the gas, you keep your eye on it the whole time and you keep tracking it. And obviously Facebook like tracks all the numbers for you, but if you're doing something like direct mail, you're just going to have to track it manually and always keep your eye on it. And if your numbers start to dip, you kind of let off the gas pedal and you try something different. Marketing is not, it works like to a degree where the model everyone follows in real estate is just to copy what everyone else does, right? That Brian says that probate leads and wholesaler network works, so I'm just going to do that. Well, it might not work the same in your market. It might not work exactly the same depending on how good you are at it or how consistent you are with it or how you execute it. But ultimately, you're trying to find an angle into your market that makes sense from a cost standpoint. So when you go into a market, it'd be good to try out a bunch of different marketing channels, but very lightly, which means low investment, and see what's working, because it's always changing. What's working is always changing. Facebook ads are starting to actually work really good for real estate investors, and direct mail not so much. It used to be the other way around, right? And so you just have to go where the water's warm. You go where you can get that customer acquisition to lifetime value, the customer ratio. Then you'll have a healthy business where the product is selling way above what it's costing you to sell it, which means you can scale, right? That's how businesses scale. They figure out how to sell what it is they're selling. Russell Brunson said, the key to grow to 7 figures is to figure out what you're selling and how to sell it, right? It's that simple. So, and you have to sell it in a cost-effective way. I mean, people figure out all kinds of ways to sell their products. Some of them don't even cost money. They're just creative and cost time. I've heard of, like, he gives an example of the book of a chiropractor who used to rent out a movie theater and, show everyone Batman for free or something to get leads for his chiropractor business. And it worked, right? It might have cost him a few $100s to get the theater, but if he made a couple $1,000, off of it, then his ratio was very, very healthy. He needs to actually spend more and do more of those events because he's leaving money on the table, right? So I hope this episode just opens your eyes up a little bit about marketing. There was times when our direct mail was just killing it. Like we get 70 or 80 new good leads a week from not a whole lot of spend. And then there was times where, we didn't track our marketing and everything started to kind of go sour. And then we dug into the numbers and it was like, oh my gosh, it's costing us $350 to get one lead from this direct mail list. No wonder our revenue is dipping, right? We're just wasting money on marketing, which is often, one of your biggest expenses in the business. But it's only an expense if it's not working. If it's working, then it's an investment where you're putting in that $2 and you're getting out that $8. So the last thing I'll say to you guys is, as the owner of your business, this is the most important job that you can focus on, especially in the beginning, is you got to take the reins on your marketing. You got to be the face of the business and figure this out. Figure out how to sell what it is you're selling. If you're offering to buy houses in your market, then you've got to figure out how to do that in a cost-effective way before you ever can think about scaling and bringing on tons of other people and all that stuff. Marketing is the most important part of business, period. I'll actually leave you guys with one more quote, different quote. It's from Joe Polish. He says, "There is no correlation between being good at your thing and getting paid. There is a strong correlation with being good at marketing your thing and getting paid." Think about that, guys. Think about a dude who like Grant Cardone or something. Is he really the best sales trainer out there? A lot of people don't think so, but he probably does 9 figures a year because he's so damn good at marketing himself. And if you want to be as successful as he is at your thing, you got to get really, really good at marketing your product. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like the show, hop on the iTunes app on your phone. You can leave reviews on there. Like real easy now. You just kind of scroll to the bottom of an episode or whatever and leave a review. It really helps get the show up in the ratings and the charts or whatever so more people can hear it. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.